One noteworthy point about this case, where the thread was in the runnable state and it got interrupted, is that the interrupted status remains true until you clear it yourself, right? Until you clear it by calling thread dot, right? So if you don't call this line after this gets interrupted, right, when this is set to true, then what will happen at a later stage when the thread is in one of these two states, right, then the JVM will immediately throw the interrupted exception, because it will see that the thread's interrupted status is already set to true. So this was the point which I had missed in the last part of the video, which is part 2. Okay, so in order to check whether my thread is already interrupted or not, there are two methods using which I can do the same. One is interrupted. It's a static method, we call it like this, Thread.interrupted. Although this is a static method, the Thread API, through the native code, it keeps track of the current thread, because current thread is an instance of the thread class, right? So in a static way we won't be able to track that, I mean the instance, right, the instance of the thread, right? So through the native code, this method is able to track the current thread and is check the status of the interrupted variable, the interrupted status, right? So what happens when we call this method like this, thread.interrupted, what happens is that it returns the current status, right, and then clears that status, right? So if it was true, then it will be set to false, it will be returned true, and then it will be reset to false. And if it was false, then it doesn't do anything, it simply returns the value and then doesn't do anything. So this is about the interrupted. And then there is one more method, this was the second method. The first method was the interrupt method itself, which I have discussed here. The other method is the isInterrupted method. Right, so this does a similar thing like this method. The only difference is that it doesn't clear the status, it only tells you whether the thread was interrupted or not. Right, so it's an instance method, we call it like this, thread.currentThread. Okay, hello friends, in this part of the video I will be talking about the interruption in the executor service. Let me write down some code here. In executor service, what happens is that in order to interrupt the working thread, the thread in execution, we need to call the method future.cancel, and a true should be passed here. It requests the JVM to interrupt the thread. So in order to make this thing work, we also need to have this thing checked in our code. Thread.currentThread is interrupted. This a check should be there in order to make this interruption work. If this check is not there, then this alone, calling this cancel method on the future object won't work alone, right? So the two combinations should be there, future.cancel with the true parameter, and there should be a check for the isInterrupted. This method should be there. If this flag is ignored, the check on this flag is ignored, then the thread will never stop executing this task. And there is one more method, shutdown now, which you can call on the executor service to interrupt the thread.